Remove the screws from the front panel. Remove screws and take out the original model. Remove the trim panel using a plastic tool. More unscrewing. And more trim removing. Remove screws and plastic clips holding the original unit. Pull out the multimedia unit. Disconnect all cables from the original unit to fully remove it. Remove the factory radio. Disconnect the optical cable. Plug the optical cable into the separate cable that came with the new unit. Plug that new cable into the factory radio. Connect the other end of the cable to the factory wiring. This third cable will be plugged into the multimedia later like this. We'll need to route the cable up to this point. But first, we need to make some space for the cable to pass. Unscrew the 3 bolts on top. Then, remove the plastic panel and unscrew the side bolts. Then unscrew the 3 bolts at the bottom. There are also clips inside the plastic panel. Then there are some screws inside. Finally, we made enough space so we could pass the cables through. Find the best route for the cables. Right. Then route it upwards. Here is the cable that we will plug into the new multimedia unit, the USB cable which will be in the glove box. Now we need to drill a hole for the USB cable to pass through. Here it is! Take the 4G antenna. Pick the best location and press it to stick it in place. This cable will connect the antenna to the multimedia unit. Take the speaker, peel off the protective paper, place it in a suitable location and press to stick. The speaker cable connects to the speaker cable in the harness that came with the multimedia unit. The blue one connects to the factory installation. Take the GPS antenna, remove the protective paper, place it like this. This cable will connect to the GPS antenna to the multimedia unit. Microphone cable, connector for 360 camera, connector for the front camera. Another USB cable. Route these cables the same way as the first time. Here it is! Now pass the second USB through the hole we drilled, just like the first one. Now we have two USB cables. Now it's time for the multimedia. Here we will plug in the power connector, microphone and 360 camera, GPS, 4G, connector for the factory screen, connector for the factory screen, screw in the GPS antenna, screw in the 4G antenna. First plug in the secondary connector, then connect the main multimedia connector. It may power on automatically the first time you connect it, but you can also turn on the ignition and test the new multimedia. Next, place the multimedia unit in its position. Now screw back the screws that secure the multimedia unit. Now return the radio system to its original position. Add a Torx bit to make it easier to screw in the screws holding the radio, and screw back the screws that secure the radio. Put the small cover back over the radio. Then screw back the two top screws. And then the two bottom screws. Return the glove box to its place. Secure it by screwing in all the screws that were removed at the beginning. Don't forget the screws on the right side. Reinstall the trim panels. Reinstall the central air vent panel. Reinstall the dashboard trim panels. Screw back the remaining screws around the glove box area. And put the wooden and plastic trims back on. And in the end, screw those screws back on the right side and put the plastic panel in its place. And that's it! Congrats! You're all done! You can also operate the multimedia system with the factory rotary knob. Check the car's audio settings to make sure it's set to AUX. Then, hold the back button for 2 seconds to return to Android mode. Then, for instance, you can start playing music. You can also check the settings to ensure everything is properly adjusted for your car. Open Settings and select Factory. Enter the password 1314. You'll be able to see a lot of settings. In Special Settings, you can choose the control panel that matches your car. For example, NTG 3.0. Next, pick the resolution in Vehicle Display that matches your car's original screen. The CAM protocol enables showing climate control, open doors, and other factory functions. In UI settings, you can choose the theme. You can pair the multimedia system with your phone over Bluetooth using the name shown on the screen. Maps can be added to the multimedia system, or you can use Google Maps. Through the car info icon, you can access the factory menu. Then you need to use the rotary knob. To return to Android mode, you can either hold the back button for 2 seconds or tap the screen. You can now test a 4K video. Play some music, either from the device itself, via Bluetooth, CarPlay, or Android Auto. Test the door opening and closing visibility on the screen. There are many Android apps, and GPS can be used even without internet connection. Go to Settings, System, Reverse Settings. Scroll down to Rear Camera. If you installed a new camera, select this option. If you kept the original camera, select this one. If you install a new camera, explore the resolutions. And that's it, you're all set. See you next time!